Francis Ngannou recently came out in an interview stating that he would like to fight Deontay Wilder next if he gets back in a boxing ring. Look, Francis Ngannou, his next fight is in MMA. He's got Ferreira on October the 14th, and that's a tough fight, man. Do you know what I mean? That's a tough fight. That's a tough fight for Francis Ngannou. Obviously, he's had two boxing fights against Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Obviously, he had to learn a lot of boxing. His training style had to be different. Now he has to readjust again. Obviously, he's going back to MMA. That's his preferred discipline. But still, making those adjustments after you've been training boxing a couple of years, getting knocked out by Anthony Joshua, then getting back to MMA, retraining, reprogramming your brain, your mindset. Everything is different. The training, the regime, everything is completely different to boxing. So hence, I say that's a tough fight. You know, when he fights Ferreira in a PFL on October the 14th, the Battle of the Giants. I'm looking forward to that fight, actually. I want to see how Francis Ngannou rehabilitates himself. Do you know what I mean? How he gets back into the octagon, how he performs. Do you know what I mean? Is he going to be a little bit, is he going to have a bit of nerves? Do you know what I mean? Is he going to be a bit hesitant to throw the punches? Because look, he got knocked out badly against Anthony Joshua. That was a devastating knockout. So him going back into MMA, and Ferreira is a giant, man. He's bigger than Francis Ngannou, and the guy can punch. So Francis Ngannou, like, that's not gonna be an easy fight. Do you know what I mean? He's returning to MMA. That's not gonna be an easy fight at all. I'll be honest, like, the last time Deontay Wilder fought against Zhilei Zhang and he got knocked out, for me, he just looked like a fighter that's just, he's done. Do you know what I mean? Like against Joseph Parker, when Wilder fought Joseph Parker, I thought, you know what? He's had a long layoff. He only had one round, you know, before that fight. I thought, you know what? Maybe, you know, Wilder's going to take him a while to get back. But when he came back against Zhilei Zhang and he got knocked out in the manner that he did, like, he didn't look right. Do you know what I mean? Even in the change room, in the locker room, whatever you call it, like, he just didn't look right. He looked, you know, he looked like he just didn't look himself. He just didn't look like the Deontay Wilder that we know. Do you know what I mean? The bronze bomber, all talk, all action, you know, ready for anything. He looked, you know, like someone just lacking confidence, someone that's just like he's lost his self-awareness, someone that's just he just has fallen out of love with the sport of boxing. Do you know what I mean? And that's the danger, like when these fighters fall out of love with the sport, but they're still doing it for other reasons rather than boxing, that's when it becomes dangerous. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're just fighting for money, for instance, like, there's nothing wrong with that, fight for money, but sometimes you have to fight for more than that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe pride. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like, you have to fight for something more than just money. Do you know what I mean? And Deontay Wilder looked like, you know, he's just turning up to get a paycheck against Zhilei Zhang. The earlier Wilder, do you know, the one that was knocking everyone out, the one against Stevenson, the one against Brazil, the one against what's his name, Ortiz. Like, we all knew he didn't have the boxing skills, but he was never that exposed in it until he fought Tyson Fury. Do you know what I mean? Like, Deontay Wilder was going in there knocking people out, like, flat out. Do you know what I mean? And he had that dog in him, he had that fight in him, and he just doesn't have that dog, that fighter in him anymore. And it was very clear when he fought Zhilei Zhang. Do you know what I mean? He turned around. First of all, protect yourself at all times. That's the rules in combat sport. He turned around, got knocked out. Do you know what I mean? He's looking at the referee and I'm thinking, what are you doing that for? And it's sad, isn't it? It's sad to see a fighter like Deontay Wilder go out like that. And he's lost that dog in him. And I look at fighters sometimes when they change trainers, you know, when they change their coach. And I'm thinking, if it's not broken, why are you trying to fix it? Do you know what I mean? Like Deontay Wilder, when he was with the his old training, you know, his old coaches, like he was all right. Do you know what I mean? He had the confidence, he was knocking everyone out. Then he decides to change. He had a few issues after the Fury fights with his previous coaches. He changed, he went to Scott Malik. I believe that's his name. Scott Malik is gone with him. And he's just not looked the same, man. It just hasn't worked out. Like, he had him since the third Fury fight, that didn't work out. Do you know what I mean? Against Joseph Parker, it didn't work out. Against Gilles Zhang, it didn't work. I just feel like the new coach, Wilder's new coach, is trying to turn Wilder into this boxer. Do you know what I mean? And Wilder's not a boxer. Do you know what I mean? That's not in his DNA. Like, he started boxing very late. Do you know what I mean? To help out his daughter that was ill. So he needed the money, you know. Salute to him. Hats off to Wilder for doing that. And he's achieved a lot. He's made a lot of money. But Deontay Wilder's never been a boxer. He's never been a purist. Do you know what I mean? He's always lacked that skill. But what he's always had in him, Wilder, is that dog in him. He had that fight in him. He had that never give up attitude. He always had that can do attitude, and that's what we admired of Wilder. We all know Wilder's not skilled. He hasn't got the boxing skills, but we know at any moment, any given time, in that fight, whether it be the first round or the final round in the 12th round, we know that Deontay Wilder carries the power to knock anyone out in this planet. When Francis Ngannou mentioned that he wants to fight Deontay Wilder next, I thought really careful about it. I thought, do you know what? I actually wanted Wilder to retire after the Gilles Zhang fight. I wanted him to retire. But looking at it, for me, it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's a no-brainer. Like, it's actually good for both fighters. I tell you why it's good for both fighters. Like, for Francis Ngannou, yeah, he's gonna go against Wilder, who is not as skilled as AJ. He's not as skilled as Fury. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of that boxing side of it, like, he doesn't have to worry about it. Francis Ngannou does not have to worry about Deontay Wilder's boxing skills. Do you know what I mean? Deontay Wilder is not gonna outpoint Francis Ngannou. I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? It's just not something that Deontay Wilder does. But at the same time, Deontay Wilder carries that power. Well, he hasn't shown it in the last two fights, but we all know he carries that power. Francis Ngannou carries that power. Francis Ngannou himself is not the best of boxers. He hasn't got the best skills when it comes to boxing. He's a skilled MMA fighter, but he's not skilled in boxing. Although, I do think Francis Ngannou is slightly better than Deontay Wilder when it comes to just pure boxing. Like, we saw Ngannou, he took Fury the distance. You know what I mean? They had a 10-round fight and he took Tyson Fury the distance. Do you know what I mean? And he boxed well. Like, he wasn't fazed by Tyson Fury. So we know Francis Ngannou can box. He didn't show that in the Anthony Joshua fight, but against Tyson Fury, we saw that guy that can use the jab. You know, he can measure distance. He's got the range. So he'll have an advantage against Deontay Wilder in that fight. And slightly, you know, I put Francis Ngannou as the favorite in that fight if he was to fight Deontay Wilder. This is a fight of redemption for both fighters in the sport of boxing. It's not actually a bad idea. I don't know what you guys and girls think at home, but for me, I think that's a great matchup. Do you know what I mean? Wilder, I know for sure Wilder doesn't want to go out in his shield like that, the way he went against Gilles Zhang, like, he got knocked out. You know, he's got pride as well. So he's probably thinking, I want one more fight, get redemption, and go out in my own terms. And I feel like the Francis Ngannou fight gives Wilder that opportunity, because Wilder should be looking at it like, Francis Ngannou is a bit slow. He'll stand in front of you. And we all know Wilder, if he lands that right hand, you're going to sleep. It's night-night, baby. Do you know what I mean? And same with Francis Ngannou. If he lands that right on Wilder, Wilder's going to sleep. So why not? It's an entertaining fight. It's gonna make, it's gonna sell pay-per-views. Both fighters gonna make money. Turkey Al Sheikh, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna be a big event. Do you know what I mean? They'll definitely make, they'll sell out that fight. I'll pay to watch that fight. I know you at home will definitely pay to watch that fight, because it's just gonna be a battle of the knockout kings. Do you know what I mean? And both fighters didn't look great in their last fights. This is a fight for redemption. Wilder's made a lot of money in his career, north of 100 million, 150 million, easy. Do you know what I mean? So he'll make more money as well with the Francis Ngannou fight. He can look at it, you know what, I've got a knockout win in my last fight. I can walk into the sunset. Done. Do you know what I mean? Because, to be honest, like, there's no one else for Wilder to really fight who's a big name in boxing, apart from Francis Ngannou. Do you know what I mean? Who does Wilder fight now? Derek Chisora? Dillian White, I don't really see those fights as being attractive enough to generate enough interest. Do you know what I mean? We all wanted to see Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, but that fight is not happening now. Do you know what I mean? That's gone right now. As we sit here, as we talk right now, like Joshua batters and probably annihilates Wilder right now. Do you know what I mean? So that fight is gone, done, dusted, buried. You know what I mean? Forget about it. For Francis Ngannou, he goes in there, he knocks out Deontay Wilder. He represents other opportunities for him in boxing because Francis Ngannou, we've only seen him twice in a ring, so we don't mind seeing him more. Do you know what I mean? We don't really mind seeing Francis Ngannou more. He's exciting. We know he's got that knockout power. So for Francis Ngannou, if he was to beat Deontay Wilder, he opens up other avenues. Do you know what I mean? He can fight Fury for the second time. You know, maybe even can rematch Joshua. I don't think that's gonna happen. He can fight Alexander Usyk. Do you know what I mean? He can fight Zhilei Zhang. He can fight Joseph Parker. Like the opportunities for Ngannou, if he beats Wilder, are endless. Martin Bakole versus Francis Ngannou, that's a big fight in Africa. Cameroon versus the Congo, that is massive. That will sell out stadiums in any African country. Ria season in Africa, that will be big. So I would like to see Francis Ngannou versus Martin Bakole, but Francis Ngannou himself, you know, he shut down those rumors. He shut it down completely. He does, you know, he said, look, Martin Bakole is more of a brother to me, so I wouldn't fight him. But for me, that's a shame because look, I know you get it, you're brothers, but in boxing, listen, if there's an opportunity for you to make money, yeah, if Turkey Al Sheikh is offering you millions, you know what I mean, let's say 60, 70 million to fight Martin Bakole, mate, I'm fighting Martin Bakole. I don't care if we're both from the Congo. The fight is getting made. We both make money for our families, and at the end of the day, we hug it out, shake hands, and move on. Do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, but I would like to see Martin Bakole versus Francis Ngannou in the future. Why not? It might happen, it might not. We'll have to wait and see. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou, do you think that's a good fight? I think that's a good fight. Let's make it happen. Obviously, Francis Ngannou's got a tough MMA fight coming up against Ferreira on the 14th of October on PFL. So that's a tough one. He has to get over that. Then he could start thinking about the Wilder fight. But if he does, Francis Ngannou does go and win that fight against Ferreira in October in MMA. Let's make that Wilder fight, man. Let's make the Deontay Wilder fight versus Francis Ngannou. Turkey Al Sheikh, Riyadh season. Let's get that sorted, man. Let's get the deal done. That's going to be a great fight. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It's your boy Enzo. Thank you for watching EMGM Sports. Until the next one, peace.